of the minutes, we have the. Whoa. Okay, do I have a second? Okay, I'm just seconding that. I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Financial report. This is staff financial. There was, I will, hang on. Stay with a new. Yeah, like the project. There was one thing that I did find, like there was an. I lumped them in together. Look at the actual financial. The number four, some money that didn't get put in. Because it was a fiscal 24, you guys, a minor amount. It's still the bottom line doesn't, yeah. It's just that it was on the wrong line. Yep. So we will have our audit. So they do give them to you prior to. They have questions. Try to figure out what's going on. So we will have the audit is due to the by March 3rd. Are actively any. Reserve list of projects. Arnold? Yep. Yep. We haven't done anything yet. Haven't requested to have anything. Those are official. That actually was. So is there any logic to what? I'm checking it. I don't know what it is. That is what.
develop the budget, so you're aware of that type of. Well,
Let me verify that number.
and a
I'll
piece of
check
that, I mean,
that, yeah.
I'm not, might be the fact that we paid it all. Right, right. Right. That's why it just is a big number that jumps right out. I'm not.
Back. I don't. Bob, can you?
Audio.
Right. Have Laura check on that. Or is there?
Yeah, I just want to find out that.
Yep,
number.
I will have an answer for you. I'll verify. And then I'll check what's supposed. No, those are information. That's December's financial. Odds, I think 130. It is.
Yes.
That one has been. Yeah, this is. It makes sense for me. Can we make that as a? Does that preclude having it under? Yeah, that was the. I do like having these with all the details. So once again, I appreciate this.
Give some fire credits or something, what's the situation on that?
I do not have an update on that. We haven't heard anything back. I did reach out to them today. Let me just check.
Yeah, the real estate agent that's trying to sell them presented at the board meeting one or two board meetings ago. And he's having a hard time selling anything.
We thought he had some sold.
The one who was interested in
So
Yeah, the one that just kind of stepped around him.
it's unlikely that we'll see any significant rundown from the bond.
I wouldn't be spending it before we sold it. Any other questions on financials? All right, let's move along to the subcommittee updates. The landscape meeting minutes. Essentially. Looking through these. He said that there's not a lot of action, that they actually had some plants that were going in. But he doesn't have anything that's gonna go over budget, and in fact, we are looking that they will likely be under budget. So, I mean, granted, we're not even halfway through the year, but let's make sure that we're keeping up on that, because that could make a difference.
If Mark, if it's top, Mark reported, are we having any issues with irrigation in terms of just watering, keeping our plants alive? I just happened to be digging in my soil today and it is so dry, 12 inches down. I'm just wondering if
He
Mark,
has not said anything, and I talked to him just last night.
Right.
Marty?
So Monticello's landscape committee identified that the neighborhood hasn't been watered in 3 weeks. And Northscape is looking into the situation.
Yeah.
That was identified to them on this past Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay, and let me just add also, reading the meeting minutes here, that the monument painting has recommenced.
It has.
It has.
They have finished Tiberio Bridge and Monument. And now we'll be moving on to,
They were painting Monticello's monument this week.
oh, nice, good to know.
And Rebecca.
And Rebecca. Yeah, and there has, as I mentioned at the President's HOA Council meeting this morning, there has been a lot of social media action on the coloring. And again, I reminded people that that was a decision made with resident input at the landscape committee level, and that color is subjective and we will never all agree on a color. I like lime green. How about you guys?
blue and yellow.
Boring.
Legit.
Blue and yellow. Well, as long as it's for Michigan State, or Michigan, not Michigan State, right?
Pink and purple.
Peg, you said Tiberio Bridge. Did you mean Trentino Estates?
Trentino Estates. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Let's put a bridge over there too.
We have one.
See, thank you for taking me so seriously. All right,
Move adoption of all the subcommittees.
Paul?
the two landscape ones, because I think Doug wants to.
I'm fine with all three of them.
I'd like to hear Doug, because he has to talk about the,
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Move adoption of subcommittees A and B. 7A and 7B.
is there a second?
40 seconds.
Marty, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Bonds, Doug, can you come up and talk to us, especially?
It won't take much. Well, sheet, I just wanted to cover 3 points. Number one is blow up that thing. You see where it says there, conservation of wetlands, it says the encumbered amount 93,744. That's not an accurate number. Our total contracts for 12 months is 52,000. And what happened for Solitude, 52,000 for conservation. The way they've started doing things this year at Gateway is they add all the contracts for Solitude together. So actually that contract for is double counted, the one for littoral maintenance for Solitude, which is, I'll give you the exact number here, but it's double counted. So that number, instead of 93,000 encumbered, should be closer to 35,000. So it's about 58,000 off. I just mentioned it to Laura. She don't have an answer yet, but I think I can see where it came from. It matches if they had added the two together. So they had littoral management and conservation
Was that
contract.
under the same
I
contract?
think we had a
Yeah.
purchase order for what was out there, and then when Randy did it, he did another purchase order for the same thing, so then we double dip, so I have to go back and look at all the open POs.
Yeah, but they made it into one contract, because they won one contract for Solitude, but it was, when it comes to the budget, it's two different line items.
So Laura, can we have an agenda item for next meeting to discuss that, make sure it gets corrected, that we're not double counting?
Yep, you should see in the financials that it won't show me encumbered anymore.
Thank you.
Okay, the other thing is, you guys approved, recommended ponds 47 and 48 to be restored. Most of you did. Won't mention a name, but that was approved by the Board of Supervisors at their meeting on January 16th, the week after this. And then there was a bombshell that occurred with lake maintenance easement that had to be cut. I don't know if all you know about that.
Is everyone aware? Should we?
Well, it's gonna disappear. I'm pretty sure the board made and it was part of One Gateway. They did what they did is most of, if you got a pool in the back of your cage on a pond, okay? Everything behind your cage would have to be cut. All your landscape, all your trees, everything would have to be cut. So Jim Latham.
If you were within.
Only if you were within the LME.
Well, I'm talking about there's 13 homes on our two ponds here that would have had 100% of the stuff removed. There's another 6 homes that would have had the trees removed. So, yeah, I mean, Jim and I were saying we weren't going to go forward with that because I wasn't going to go to those homeowners and do that. Okay, we just let the district work that out. I think they did the last meeting, but they are, I think it's your next meeting, isn't it, Bob? I think that will be resolved, so we won't talk about that. But in the meantime, so that's the second point. First was the budget, second point was LME, but that's going to be resolved. So you didn't, Alan, that you didn't know about it, that was good because it's already resolved and you didn't worry any. Pond 48, the contractor withdrew from doing the pond. Was timing and terms and stuff like that occurred. So the ponds group met the 11th, which is 2 days ago. 2 days ago they met and they recommended that we go with, Copeland's the one that withdrew, that we go back to the only other bid we had for pond 48 was with Extreme Divers. Okay, and so from a financial standpoint, it's $760, I think was the exact number, less to go with Brad Extreme Divers than it would. So we're actually saving a little bit of money by going with that. So the recommendation of the ponds group was to go with Extreme Divers on both 47 and 48. Okay, and that's a little bit of savings, less than $1,000. And then the other thing is, just so we're all on the same page, it would change the technology to dirt and rock with that fiber.
Do you need a motion from this board?
I think it makes sense, even though we're spending less, and that was the only bid. I think it'd be good for the board to just.
I'll make a motion to go with Extreme Divers for ponds 47 and 48.
Okay,
Well, 47 is already approved.
Yeah.
48 is the one in
Yeah.
question.
So just to clarify for Marty, do we first need to reverse the most previous motion, which provided that Copeland would do 48?
I don't know the answer to that. I do know the contract was never signed by the contract.
But we moved to have it approved, is that correct?
We recommended it to be approved, yes.
Okay,
This is actually going in front of the board next Thursday.
so they've not, the board itself is not conducted business on the motion to have Copeland do 48.
Yes, they
did.
did. On the 16th, they
But
did.
This agenda item is actually on the board meeting for next week for it to go to Brad at Extremes.
So I'm just asking a technical question. I support Marty's motion, but I want to make sure we don't have to also have a motion to reverse the decision to have.
No.
Okay, that's all. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
I think that would be at the board.
Yeah.
Right.
And in terms of, Pete and Alan, in terms of extreme divers and the level of the lake, should we have extreme waders instead?
Most people, Chelsea is comfortable with Brad, doing, the pond, in the wet season, just so you know, the second pond, because they did 109 in wet season, and he was able to do it with a different technology where you're not dredging out of the pond, you're bringing in dry fill. And she's pretty confident, knowing what Brad did on 109, thinks he could do it again.
I'll second where he's.
Okay.
And then just to be clear, then we're still saying that it would occur this year, but
Yes.
eventually within wet season versus drought.
The first pond will start in April,
Okay,
and the second pond will be a couple months after that. And they should, both will be done in this calendar year.
any more discussion on this? Call the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Marty says aye.
Marty said aye.
He didn't vote for the first one.
Well, that's because he's Marty.
He knew that the contractor was going to withdraw the bid. That's why he didn't
It's
approve it.
insider information. All right. Tell me when you're ready, Laura, and we can move on to 8A. Okay,
I don't know, some guy. was-
speaking of Marty, we're grateful that you're going forward and wanting to re-up with us. We appreciate your commitment to us and,
Do we have to vote on him?
yeah, we do.
Cause I have to take the recommendation to the board.
Yeah. So do I have a motion to approve Mr. Manton?
I move.
All right, John Mary's moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alex seconded.
I
Yeah.
voted, do I have-
All
I
in favor?
voted, do I have to
I
abstain?
think you should always vote for yourself. That shows confidence.
Okay.
All in favor? Unanimously appreciative.
We are still one, or is that coming up later?
It is not, we don't have it on our agenda for anybody.
I had it on my notes from last month that you asked us to bring it back in March.
Right, because we were waiting for the announcement to go
Yes.
out.
And it did, and I checked with Georgia right before the meeting and she said, as of now, no one can apply.
Yeah, okay. Anyone in the audience with interest?
Barry?
I have attempted to solicit people
Yes, I am as well.
and
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say it's a difficult sale right now, given the position that everybody's taking. But certainly if you've got somebody you think would be a logical, fair-minded person, we
most of
appreciate
the time I get the opinion of, what did they do?
that.
Like Bruce Gateway?
Who?
All right, let's move on to 8B, award recommendation consideration for landscape irrigation maintenance to Ameriscape.
Well, let me just say thank you for everybody's vote.
So at the, trying to think of what meeting that was. The selection meeting, the bid,
For landscape
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, so,
77 whatever it was.
right. So they, worked through all the bids that were out there and weighed the pros and cons. A lot of good discussion on, is any one of them better than the other? Or are you just trading one set of issues for another? And I think the bottom line that swayed them to go with Ameriscape was, it's the devil, you know. And we've got some sense of how they're moving forward, so. They did recommend that we approve,
So I have a question.
yes.
So is the number that we're seeing here over a 3-year period?
Yes, I,
And then
Randy fixed it. If you look,
55,
if you look here,
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 are broken out.
they're broken out on here, so.
I think what threw everybody off was how high Greenscapes was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That you were thinking, how could they both be so out of line, but yeah. Greenscapes obviously didn't want to say no, but didn't want us to pick them.
my question arises from the comment in the fiscal impact, where it says fiscal year 2025 budget for contractual landscaping is 567,000. But that's a 1-year number, not a 3-year number, right? If you
Right.
go back to the previous page.
yep, that's for 25
Right. Okay.
here. It's 567,000. Then if you look here, that would apply to this column. here.
And there's a participant sitting in for Nancy Smith on this as Peggy said, the primary driver of this, to lead to the decision to the recommendation was the fact that we have Ameriscape, and it just felt like, why make a change? It wasn't enough dollars to make.
Does Greenscape do any work within the community now? Any of our associations?
I think they do little jobs.
I believe so, I've seen.
I see.
Well,
If,
they did Solaro for a couple years, but then they upped their price so much that they moved off of them.
I was gonna say, if they are doing work within the community, I think somebody ought to let them know and take care, or take a good, close look at it,
Well,
because they might be robbing whatever association that is.
And Laura, you correct me if I'm wrong, but part of the process here is strictly controlled by government bid process.
Yeah.
Like I asked the question, could you go back and confirm and negotiate? And Randy felt, no, you're not allowed to do that in the government bid process.
Right.
Which, just.
Yeah. The only way that you could do that is if we would not accept any of these bids and put everything back out and hope that they come in lower the second time.
now is what they did the first time public knowledge?
Yeah.
Okay, so that they could then look at,
Or will the contract be available along with all the addendums and stuff at some point? This is the base, this price is the base landscape. There's an addendum, an appendix, whatever, that has the tree trimming and all the accessory things, so.
Our intent and our goal and what Randy is working on is to have all the contracts for each of the area. We have a central place where we can see the contracts. But now that you guys have your SharePoint site with your groups, like all the landscaping related contracts would have a folder in the landscape folder on SharePoint, and the ponds would be per pond. So yes, you will be able to see them once the contract is executed.
And that's one of my frustrations. There were significant differences in some of those different line items, and I don't understand, not a government contract guy, not being able to go out to your vendors and say, you are X dollars above the other guy in X, and we really want to give it to you, but you got to come down on your price, and they can't do that.
Right.
That's cheap.
I'm just,
We're under the cone of silence.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you reject all bids, that's what happens.
Oh, I know. That's why I would want to move it over.
Okay, did we actually vote on this or I lost?
Well, you can't approve it. You need to make a recommendation.
Just recommending it.
And then I need to take that to the board. Yes. I'm actually waiting so I can finish the agenda.
This is Marty. I'll make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Supervisors to accept the Ameriscape bid.
Okay, already moved. A second,
I'll second it. And
second by Thomas, and any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Okay, I do need to put a reason why you did not choose the low bidder.
It was the,
The familiarity with the.
yeah,
we're endorsing the recommendation of the selection committee,
but it was also for the longevity,
right?
and the intimate knowledge of our community.
Established relationship.
Established with this, that's even better. Intimate sounds a little wrong.
Peggy,
Doug,
just so we all know, and Laura,
do you want to come on?
just so we all know, I was at the last CDD, wasn't that the landscape group? That they voted against the recommendation of the group to save a little bit of money.
That was the board.
Yeah, the Board of Supervisors voted to go with the low bid. This is the exact same thing. Cross Creek was the current vendor for that contract, and they went with it with the same reasons that you have here. And the Board of Supervisors said it's a commodity product and overruled the landscape. I don't know what group it was within staff, but the recommendation was to go with the known vendor, just like here. And the Board of Supervisors voted the opposite of that and went with the low bid. That's
The little
or what it's-
in that our irrigation system is complex and the knowledge.
Yeah, but the same thing.
There were concerns about licensing and being able to staff and everything was the
Right.
company that they awarded to, and the board did it anyway. So the board, it's ultimately the board's decision. I'll bring the recommendations of both landscape and you, which are the same, I mean, but once it gets to the board,
Yeah.
it's in their
We
hands.
could do what we can
Yeah.
do.
Maybe send it out to Mark. Maybe what's the one there, the low bid, maybe they don't have, they go online maintenance. You know what I mean, to be able to do a trouble ticket. And that could be something as opposed just to being familiar with, where there's really more meat behind one. Sorry to bring that up,
No, I
but
think it's fair.
So just for the record, you remember what the vote was of the Board of Supervisors?
5-0.
Thank you.
It wasn't 3-2.
I hope it won't be 5-0.
Well, there are two board members sitting in here, but my thoughts are a little bit different. I mean, this committee is comprised of all Pelican Preserve people who are looking out for not only the board's for GSEDD money, but we're also looking out for our residents.
Mhm.
And if we take a look at this, we say, well, yeah, we'll pay $120,000 more because of some benefits that we think that are there. Then why should a board treat it differently? Because there's two Pelican Preserve people on that board as well. So that's the way I look at it.
Well, the other thing, Alan, this is our money. In the
Yeah,
end,
that's
this
what
is
I mean.
our money.
Yeah.
This is money we manage, we control, and it's paid for
That's
by.
why there's a Pete back here.
Well, but in reality, the Board
reality
of
is the board
Supervisors
is
is who
fine.
makes the decision. All we can do is one group made a recommendation, we're supporting that recommendation and sending it up to the Board of Supervisors. Two of them are here. They can argue for or against us when they come to the meeting.
Bob, would you like to come up, please?
Bob Guppert, and I will speak as a board member.
Okay.
Historically, the board has accepted whatever PPAC wants. There is no requirement to go with no bidder. And Tony's got a phrase that we usually adopt, responsive and all these other good words. But I don't see that to be a problem.
Thank you.
All right. So that recommendation has gone forward. We'll move on to 8C, the award consideration for Atlantic Southern paving for Aviano and Ravenna Way. Again,
So question, what happened to Pelican Preserve Bowl? It's lined out.
They went out, the three that were the highest priority were these two, plus the first stretch of Pelican Boulevard. When they went out for I don't know what the proper term is, the simple procurement method, the cost was over the threshold, so they now have to go back through the long bid process for that, but we could move ahead with these two because.
So we're just gonna push Pelican Preserve Boulevard off to fiscal year 2026.
we don't
Not
know,
necessarily, they're going through the bid process.
Okay.
but because of the dollar amount, it has to be more of the former long-term. Any questions on what they recommended? Again, Atlantic Southern has done several of our roads. Everybody's been satisfied with the work they've done. And they were the low bidders, so.
Well, I'm looking at the map here and it is Aviano that they bring right up to Trias. Then they don't do any portion of Trias. Do they want it? I'm just wondering why they don't do the whole path.
Between Trieste and Ravenna, you mean?
Yeah,
Why would you do that
Why
when
don't
it's a
they
different
do
road?
this second year, just kind of make it a big.
It'll be done with.
I think it's just how they chunk it up and the way the gutters go.
It's up to the pavers
okay.
going in.
You gotta think, I'm just like, yes, it's relatively new,
No, they just code.
okay.
Yeah, they just seal coated.
Any discussion on this? Any concerns with the recommendation from the subcommittee?
Adoption, 8C.
Okay, we've got a motion to adopt 8C.
Recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, right?
I'll
This
second.
is,
The recommendation to the Board of Supervisors.
yes, everything we do is a recommendation. Okay, so we've got Ed has recommended and John has seconded. Any more discussion? Call the vote?
Aye.
Unanimous? And then we have Tree Line and Colonial Monument Parcel Appraisal. As you may recall, in November, I think it was, we had requested that we get an appraisal not to exceed $2,000 on the two parcels out on Tree Line and Colonial. And we actually have gotten that back. And has everybody had a chance to look at it, or do you want me to paraphrase? All right. Okay, so the gist of it, as I understand, is that if we do nothing to it and put it on the market, we could potentially get $400,000, potentially, if there was somebody wanting to buy it. If we could rezone it into commercial general, because what is it considered now? I don't know that I thought.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I thought Chelsea told me somebody was supposed to be here.
the sites are still zoned commercial general are improved as monument side. So it is commercial general right now.
It was more of it was left more, it's just a signage lot. That was the 400. If it was used to actually be a Starbucks drive-through coffee or something
Right.
like that, and this is, the prices for both parcels. It's one parcel, but it's on each side. So if you split it up, each parcel would basically be half.
And you could potentially end up with a billboard, electronic billboard style sign, like the one across the street on Colonial, which is not aesthetically pleasing, especially to our Pelican Preserve neighborhood.
Do we have a good handle on what it costs us per year in order to maintain those now?
Doug, can you speak to what it costs us to make?
We got rid of the fountains and stuff like that from the Ponds Group standpoint, the fountains and the electricity and stuff like that is almost zero.
So
Lighting and
it's
landscape,
mowing and trimming and that sort of stuff.
lighting and landscape,
I think one time I heard under 27,000 a year.
not a lot.
Not a lot, I mean, a lot.
And you could
So
potentially
it's
end up
been
with
for
something,
several years for.
you could potentially end up with something that you don't want. You could end up with Colombian artwork.
On the other hand, I mean, if you want to look at it, we could end up with someone taking over the sites and keeping them as a monument to that.
That's gonna happen.
We're trying to be positive.
It doesn't seem like
I
there's.
would almost like to table this. I don't know if that's the appropriate thing. At the last board meeting, I know there was a letter submitted to the board from the community association to start discussions around potentially taking back or transferring of a lot of the assets, the roads, the landscaping, the monuments, gatehouse to this community association, and this might potentially be a part of that. So maybe we need to kind of
Yeah, there's no
put that
rush
into
to-
that negotiation bucket.
So you want to table indefinitely? You don't want to table to the next meeting?
Correct.
Yeah, I would agree that it doesn't seem to be a hurry. With that kind of,
They just
that's not a
did it.
big amount of money, and it's not cost us that much to maintain it. There's no big hurry at this point.
Well, in talking to the community and some community leaders, it's a real mixed bag. There are people that say, get rid of it, get any money you can get for it. It doesn't have anything to do with Pelican. And if our name wasn't up there right now, nobody would know that it's anything to do with us.
Until they see a big electronic
Well,
billboard on the
but
corner.
even then, that doesn't associate to Pelican, is what I'm saying. They don't look at that corner as Pelican Preserve, even though the monuments are there. So if the monuments were gone and or the signage was gone,
They don't have to take the monument down if they buy it.
that's true, that's
They
true.
can just put up an electronic billboard in front of the monument.
But like I was saying, some people are very much in favor of getting rid of it. Other people feel that it's an aesthetically pleasing piece of Pelican Preserve and we should maintain it if it's not expensive. So I'm just saying there is no clear guidance that we've got. We could do a burst survey, we could pick the brains of people, but I do believe that Ed's suggestion of having this tabled until we've got more clarity on
Future.
the future might be very sensible.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to make that motion if you have not already made it.
I'll make that motion that we table indefinitely.
I'll second.
And Alan's going to second it. That was Ed that made the motion.
We're kicking the can down the road.
We are, but I think it's a good way to handle this one because there's nothing pressing.
Marty's got to go against it.
Yeah. No, Marty wants to buy it, put up his own electronic sign.
We do need to.
Marty's
I
making it
don't,
here.
I don't want to sell.
Okay. All right, so we got the motion, it's seconded. Any more discussion? All right, call the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Marty says aye.
Marty is in agreement with the entire group. Unanimously kicking the can down the road. All right, then we've already gone through the revised financial report from Ed. Was there any other member reports or items?
Nope,
Well, I don't,
not that I got. I do have one thing though, but you want to go first, I
I
just, before you adjourn.
I want to, two things that I've replied to the email and it says don't reply to the email, so that's my fault. One, we talked a little bit about today, and that is just continue to address that lighting outside of the gate. It is a real negative.
It's
of
a
the
very
community.
much a safety hazard.
I want to know what is it going to take to get it fixed? And I
The
thought,
lights on tree line?
the
coming into
lights
the
coming,
community.
Oh, yeah, we
I
are still working.
I mean,
I know, but.
Daniel has a.
Trust me, it's a thorn in our side as well.
I believe it. So whatever we can do to get even if it's an answer that says it's gonna cost you $10 million, at least we could go out and say, we've got an answer.
I think they're having a hard time finding the cause, so that's.
I think they got it back on though.
Yeah. When they get it on, it goes off, and it's not just the front, you have lighting that comes in past the gatehouse that's not.
Yeah.
Out on
working.
trees.
The,
Yeah,
Or you're
on,
already saying.
on Pelican Boulevard.
Yeah,
the,
So where do we stand with FPML?
okay,
well, we had a meeting earlier, I'll let you talk about that.
the stretch that's causing the most problems right now is basically from, tree line to Treast. That first
Right.
intersection.
A couple other.
And the source of it is just beyond that. So there's 3 or 4 lights just beyond the 3-way stop all the way back to tree line that are all fed from
Right.
one breaker position. And when that trips, the whole stretches out until they can get somebody in there. We had a meeting earlier this week to, look at from the safety and security standpoint, moving forward with the FPL and whether or not we have to do a cost benefit in that, but we're trying to get the revised proposal from FPL to redo the lights, to convert them from gateway lights to Florida Power and Light, for the next safety and security meeting. Daniel's trying to get that. If we move forward with that, their last projection was it may cost us about $150,000 up front, and then a monthly rental once they are completed. But with their schedule, construction wouldn't be till the summer of 26.
So
So
the dumb question. So what does it take to throw the breaker? Can anybody do that, or does it have to be a call to FPL to come in and throw the breaker?
now it's Daniel has to call his electrician, and it's not a breaker, it's fuses, and it's 480 volts, so you need special equipment and stuff, protection to do that.
Class 2.
But it's finding the problem, troubleshooting and finding what
What
the
caused the
problem
fuse
is.
to blow in the first place?
Yeah,
Right.
and
So I have
I
another,
haven't been involved in any of that troubleshooting with Daniel on it. It seems to take a long time to get somebody in to even troubleshoot it, so.
The wiring is deteriorating.
And you guys are running into the same problems that we were having on Gateway Boulevard and Griffin Drive, where they would fix one, maybe have a little string out, it'd be great for 2 days, and then the chunk downways would go out, so they were constantly trying to find where the problem was. Fix one break and there's another one 6 feet down.
The problem, Laura, is the residents don't understand. All they know is all the other community entry lights are bright and beautiful, and you
Sure.
come into Pelican Preserve and it's dark and dim.
So communication is what you're seeing.
Well, we tried,
Yeah.
but you got the communications 2 way. We can put the words out, they gotta read it.
Right.
They don't wanna hear about it. They want the place lit, so.
Understood.
I mean, The one thing that we could do is like we did on tree line, where we paid them to come in and basically rewire most of it. And it was $30,000 or $40,000 to rewire, pull new wire and everything.
There's some length of area that we're talking about here.
Tree line to tree house.
I don't know how much a tree line.
They'll come in and
Pull it up within a year.
But it's gonna take a year.
That's
I understood. Yeah, I think it was a little over $19,000 for that last big one that they did for you guys. I was supposed to get in. So,
I'm willing to pay that.
It'd be worth looking into.
I was,
Daniel's actually listening in on mine.
I can know.
this is Doug Zancher, I guess as a resident with this comment. My wife and I were taking someone to the airport at 4 a.m. in the morning. In that dark section there, a car was on the wrong side. They went to that three-way stop.
Right.
And I don't know if they were coming out of your area, but instead of turning to the other side with it dark, they turned in and were coming right at us. So I think it's a bigger safety issue than we think.
Definitely safety versus just fun.
Well, my point is I want to try to elevate the priority of getting this thing fixed. Okay, number two that I had is just put it on the docket. And it's gonna go to safety committee and you're aware of it. We are getting complaints about speeding golf carts. And they are now going in excess of 30 miles an hour, which is not a golf cart. It's even beyond a slow speed vehicle. I don't have an answer. Don't have a recommendation, just letting everybody know that it is a growing concern of golf carts flying as fast as they are and really taking people off their bikes. And I couldn't keep up with a golf cart today coming out of the,
Cece from Casella. I'm also on the Safety and Security Committee. And this morning at the President's Council meeting, I was asked to add to the agenda another issue related to the final decisions about the placement of the new lamps with regard to the Viadana neighborhood, the ones that are adjacent on Pelican Preserve Boulevard.
That's the one that Don was concerned.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And I tried to do that today. I was in that, whatever that system is that we do to add things to our agendas, but I didn't know the song to sing while I did it. So I created the document, but it wouldn't feed. So I'm just going to write a memo to Georgia and ask her to put it on the agenda.
And we've addressed in the design, the Viadana, we just haven't got the revisions back from FCL.
Don
Can
said
sit
he
down
could
with
trust
them
you,
and
but,
talk about
yeah.
it, so.
Okay, so you just asked me to formally add it to the.
And
agenda.
again, you talk to one person on their Viadana board and they think one thing, you talk to another person on the board and they think the opposite, so it's.
I know it's difficult.
Like monument colors.
Just send me an email and I'll create
All right.
that. Form.
Did you have anything else? that you-
no, I just wanted to make sure we're aware that the golf carts are an issue.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Well, let me go.
Then we got, we're not done yet.
I know. I want to see if anybody else on the board has something. Alan, do you have anything?
Well, it's the new, I've got one of the new golf carts and they have settings on it. One's for 15 mile an hour and one for 25 mile an hour. They will not do that. So it's got to be somebody with an older golf cart that can go in there and manipulate that thing to make it go faster.
So it can be done, it can be done because when I had new tires, I asked my guy about, can he do it? He said, yeah, I can do it, but I'll not give you a piece of paper to show that I did it, and I won't guarantee anything I did. But I can get you up to 40 miles an hour.
Holy cow.
Well, I think if you find somebody that does that, we need to make an example of it somewhere.
Right. Okay, Ed, anything else on your side?
The only thing I'm working with Passarella on the GIS legends to get them reorganized, and hopefully in the next couple, 3 weeks, we'll have new legends out there and then we can start doing some training and stuff on it, but hopefully it'll be a lot easier for people to find things.
And just from my perspective, it would be nice if we turned on ponds and we turned on landscaping and everything underneath it turned on versus just a few things.
Oh,
Clean. Okay, John, nothing from John?
I
Laura,
have one thing. I have a love note from Georgia. Since Nancy is no longer on PPAC, you are missing a liaison for the landscape.
is there anyone here who would like to volunteer to be that liaison?
I'll do it.
John? John Barry has graciously extended his voluntold
There
status.
goes the neighbor.
you'll enjoy the pay increase.
Yeah. You get much
No,
of
it's it's a good group to work with. They're
Yeah,
fun.
Mark,
Yeah,
Mark kind
Mark's
of,
great.
Mark's got that under control.
All right. And I guess the only other thing I would say is please pass on to Ellen that we appreciate all the work that she's done for us. So
Yep, you'll have time, July 31st.
July 31st.
Yeah, and Ruth is actually retiring this year too. her last day is June 20th. Julie does our accounts payable. She's been here maybe like 8 years, I think, by the time she retired. Maybe no more than that.
Okay.
But she's retiring June 20th and then Ella's leaving July 31st.
Don't get any.
We're gonna have parties for both.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna plan to retire for 2 years.
Okay.
Is there anything else for your next meeting agenda? I have, hopefully we'll have an update on the fire impact funds. I'll just keep that out there. I had a note from the last agenda that you had asked about the admin time. I did quick back of the napkin math, and if I take all of the hours that have been tracked so far for this year through Sunday, through last week, Pelican is using 20% of all of the tracked hours.
20% of everything available, but not.
20% of the hours that we're tracking. So like that sheet, those numbers that show on there, that total is 20% of all of our time, total, everybody.
What's the budget?
That's a loaded question because it's not straightforward. It's about nine, I think I would have to look at
Your
it.
budget?
Don't, you have to look at the tracker.
I've been told that it's pretty much
You are-
on track.
You're pretty much right on. Once I add in the PTO and the holidays, you guys are very, very close. Georgia and Julie are a little under, but you guys pulled back a lot after the beginning of the year. Other than that, everybody else is really, really close. I mean, I'm within like 3 or 4 hours, I think, so.
All right, hold on, we've got Cece for one last comment.
Yes, with regard, CC Haas again, with regard to tracking of administrative time, this occurred at a safety and security meeting 2-3 months ago, where a staff member from Gateway had item maybe 7 on the agenda, but sat through the whole meeting waiting for that item. And it was agreed at that meeting that in the future, we would try to put such items on agendas earlier in the meeting, so that person's time wouldn't all be charged to us. And I just don't know if that's been put in effect because I don't attend all the meetings.
Normally Daniel's the only one who goes to the meeting.
But it was another person, I think it was when he was on break or
I
something.
think it was in
Chelsea, I know Chelsea.
But it was somebody in a techie kind of a sense. But anyway, he sat there till item 7.
Oh, no, I actually was online for one of the meetings because they were having problems with the streaming. I did not charge you for any of my time.
Oh, well,
Thank you.
Well, but I think it's a very good point that we should.
any,
Because I agreed that I wouldn't be on the meetings. I was only there from a technical support standpoint. I wasn't there wearing my Gateway chiming in on agenda items, so I didn't charge for any of my time.
just in general, my point is any of those items should be higher on the agenda. That's all.
You hear that? Thank you.
And the gateway person does not be in attendance at the subcommittee meetings.
No, we do, because Daniel goes, he runs them.
So is that right?
There's supposed to be one person, like I'm here for, so you're only paying for my time for
They
the.
got to record everything.
And then like the subcommittee meetings, either Daniel or someone else will go in his place. There'll be one person. I mean, I chat Teams, I don't keep track.
A lot better this year than it was.
And then we did have a question at one point that was whether or not we needed to have somebody from Gateway at the coffee talks with KW. And I had said if we felt it was a value that it would be sensible, and then I was correct.
I was told to take it off my calendar.
Yeah, I was corrected that no.
The board can always bring the question back.
Yes.
But
And
it-
then respond.
She's supposed to send me the questions before the meeting and then answer them and then send them back to her. So,
As long as we have input
yeah.
where it's appropriate, that's all.
And then if there's any follow-up, they're supposed to reach out to us so that we can handle it.
Any other agenda items for next time?
Our next meeting is Thursday, March 13th. Are we gonna have a forum? I will
Good to
be,
be here.
I will
I'll
be
be
in
here.
attendance.
Where are you gonna be?
I will be here.
Is anybody not gonna be here?
There you go. Anyone not here? Looks like we're all good. Marty, would you like to take the floor?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Marty makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's kind of a record.
2:55.
2:55.
I give a record.
50
It's a
minutes.
double record. Marty didn't vote no on anything and we're out of here less than an hour.
That's true.
That's right, he has 14 years.